The most wanted free agent in the Formula 1 paddock is Carlos Sainz. Teams are practically begging for him to join their outfit as he is a very fast and reliable driver. Oracle Red Bull Racing is the most superior choice by far out of all the teams he can choose from, and the reason is something you most definitely didn't expect. I'll reveal exactly why toward the end of this video. I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. Carlos Sainz is 29 years old and found himself without a seat for 2025, because Scuderia Ferrari made Lewis Hamilton's dream come true to be the best paid driver on the grid again. And driving for the Maranello team is something that a lot of F1 drivers want to do, of course. Unfortunately, this left a great driver, like the 3-time race winner is, in an awkward situation where he doesn't know where he'll be in 2025. Luckily for him, he's a confident man and there are plenty of options. Throughout his career, Carlos Sainz hasn't been afraid to move around from team to team. From Toro Rosso to Renault, from Renault to McLaren, from McLaren to Ferrari, and if it was up to me, from Ferrari to Red Bull. He started scoring podiums in his time with McLaren. This always went a little bit under the radar, as it involved an off-podium celebration because he earned his 3rd place after penalties were applied after the race. In the seasons with Ferrari, he managed 3 wins, which may not be a lot, but it is as many as the star driver teammate Charles Leclerc has in the same period. A period where Ferrari wasn't the strongest car and had to beat the almighty Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing. He impressed everyone with his strategic knowledge during the races and his conviction to implement it. So it's safe to say his stock is high. Every F1 YouTuber posted a video saying Sainz is underrated, something I already did last season. I'm not saying that I'm smarter and better than those YouTubers, but in the end, I'm smarter and better than those YouTubers. Maybe this video will be made by them in a couple of months too. Who knows? I'm a pragmatic person, so I usually go for the easiest solution in solving the silly season in Formula 1. The first team that has a big gap to fill is Mercedes. They lost Hamilton and a driver swap would make sense. I'd say that Sainz's performance is pretty much on par with Hamilton's the last couple of seasons. And Sainz even won races, which Hamilton didn't. He's easy to get along with, so I see no bother with George Russell. I have more faith in the Mercedes strategist, to be honest, and I feel he would do a good job with Bono given the proper instructions. Mercedes isn't the team they were 3 years ago, but still, if finishing P2 and P3 in the standings is bad, then what the hell does it look like when they up their game again? Well, we've seen that from 2014 till 2021, which was a pretty dominant display, and this could happen again. The reason why I don't see Sainz going to Mercedes is because Kimi Antonelli is waiting for a chance. Wolff has been very vocal about ensuring that what happened with Max Verstappen doesn't happen with Antonelli. If you wonder what happened there, Max Verstappen chose Red Bull in 2015 because they put him in a seat straight away, whereas Wolff couldn't give Verstappen a seat, not even in the customer teams Toto Wolff has shares in. So if Antonelli does a decent job in F2, he might get dropped into the Mercedes team right off the bat. And I would love to see that, to be honest. I have this theory that if a young driver is good, it's best to give him a good car too. I'd hate to see him struggle like George Russell had to do in Williams for 3 years. For all I know, the Mercedes package might be easier to drive than a Williams package. If you crash the W16, at least there's a spare chassis available. Anyway, enough about Mercedes. Another very popular opinion is that he'll move to Sauber before it becomes the Audi works team. Enough has been said about the ties between Audi and Carlos Sainz's father, and I think it's a great fit to have such an experienced driver in a new team. Audi is part of the Volkswagen Group, and this massive company is determined to make it into Formula 1 as they already established itself in other motorsport. When Audi does something, they do it well. However, Sainz will have to sit through a year at that shitty stake team before it turns into the German powerhouse that is Audi. That would be a big waste of time, especially when you're 30. Joe and Bottas are very decent drivers, but it's very hard to show anything in a team that has no ambition. Yet. Another option is Aston Martin, in case Alonso leaves. A Spaniard for a Spaniard isn't a bad deal, I'd say. If Lawrence Stroll lets go of his son Lance, then it could be 2 Spanish drivers. That's quite handy in the communication. How do you say Fernando is intimidating me in Spanish?
Fernando me está intimidando.
Fernando está me intimidando. I'm sure Aston Martin and Stroll are going places with everything that has been organized so far, but it will take time. I don't think Sainz wants to be a seat warmer until Lawrence Stroll locks in that superstar driver he allegedly has been eyeing up. I'm of course talking about the Verstappen-Newey rumor that has been going around. So all these teams are possibilities, but there are also a few other unlikely options. He could start at the RB sister team, but I doubt he wants to go through that again. Haas, Williams and Alpine all have drivers out of contract next season, but I don't think he'll even consider them, as they are all huge downgrades with a lot less to look forward to in the future. The obvious reason for Sainz to go to Red Bull is because they have the fastest package, and every driver wants that. Another reason is that he knows the people, as he was in the junior program and Toro Rosso for a long time. Another great plus is that he gets along with Max Verstappen really well. It's the fathers that did some meddling in the background, but the boys were teenagers then. Carlos Sainz Sr. and Jos Verstappen already know each other well, as they are both still racing in rally cars, and those grown-up sons need little guidance anymore. Now, one of the reasons why people say Sainz won't go to Red Bull is because Max Verstappen is supposed to be afraid of Sainz joining and he doesn't want competition. It would cause friction in the team and such. I strongly disagree. Verstappen will have Sainz closer in quali and races compared to Perez. I'm sure of that. Max might even lose a race or two on merit to Sainz, and that would be great actually. But the biggest reason why Sainz 100% without any single bit of doubt should go to Red Bull is to keep Charles Leclerc at bay. If Ferrari is closer to Red Bull again next season, then the positions Perez finishes and qualifies in isn't enough anymore. The buffer that is needed in a close championship battle isn't provided enough over a whole season by Perez, and I think Sainz will do a much better job at that. If you take into account how many points the man from Madrid lost last season due to a difficult to drive car, you'd see him higher in the standings. Then there was the Ferrari strategy and the horrible penalty he received in Las Vegas after his car was destroyed by a drain cover and he had a 10th place grid drop for replacing things on the car. We can safely conclude that he is a very consistent, rapid driver. Leclerc will win races too, and it's important that if Verstappen doesn't win, Leclerc doesn't win either. With every 1-2 finish of the Red Bull duo, the gap in the constructors and the driver standings grows. Max Verstappen did most of the work in his 3 championships alone, as Checo struggled a lot with the car. This was fine, as Verstappen scored enough points to secure the constructors on his own in 2023. This won't happen in 2025, with smaller margins between the top drivers. It's of great importance to have 2 drivers fighting at the front at all time if the fight is this close. I think Carlos Sainz is the ideal choice for that reason, and that's why I think Red Bull Racing is the superior choice for Sainz to race in 2025. Let me know what you think. Subscribe. Take care now. Doei doei.